Good morning, dear audience and our distinguished guests. Welcome to DEİK, Turkey-Denmark Business Council EU talks, which the topic is food security and sustainability in post-corona era in Turkey and Denmark. Our audience and our distinguished guests, our plan is to start with my remarks and continuing with General Consul Anet's remarks and with the presentation of Ayşin Hanım, General Director and Chairperson of Director General of Agricultural Enterprises, continuing with Ayşe Akat, Turkey Country Director of CHR Hansen, and Dr. Umut Köroğlu, the Country Director of Turkey of Novozymes and Middle East and Africa Commercial Director. So today the topic is quite challenging. We have faced and we are now facing a COVID-19 pandemic, and the post-COVID era will be to a certain extent much more different than what we are facing up to now. So the food security and sustainability is the topic. We will be having our experiences and correspondences by mutual parts and having the experiences on after and projections in after COVID-19 era. So I would like to start with the presentation and a summary of our business council on Turkey and Denmark. As we know, the Foreign Economic Relations Board of Turkey was established in 1985, and our Turkey-Denmark Business Council, the Turkish side of the Business Council took its first step in 1992. Me as the chairperson of the Turkish Denmark Business Council. It was followed by various meetings and seminars organized in Denmark with associations of the country's business community. The Business Council was officially established in 1999 in the context of the Danish-Turkish Cooperation Day organized in Istanbul. And the founding protocol was signed by the Ömer Perçinel, founding chairperson of the council, and Sven Henriksen, deputy CEO of the Confederation of Danish Industry. The council's activities are focused on the sectors of energy, contracting, biotechnology, furniture, textiles, with Danish companies contributing technical information, expertise, design work, R&D capacities, and technological know-how to partnership, and the Turkish side bringing in labor, logistical advantages, manufacturing capacities, and production experiences. Besides providing a platform for productive partnerships, the Council also works on the promotion of the green economy concept in industry, agriculture, and the construction sector. The Business Council devotes activities both to large corporations and to small and medium-sized enterprises, and presenting the Danish technology and experience to its partners in Turkey in the sectors of renewable energy, localized heating, energy efficiency, biotechnology, agriculture, and animal husbandry, on which Denmark is a leading country in the world, and also expanding the ongoing cooperation between Turkey and Denmark on textile among the Turkish and Danish small and medium enterprises in the sectors of machinery, manufacturing, building materials, foodstuffs, and durable consumer goods. Our activities of the Council in March 2017, it was a roundtable meeting with the members of the Parliament of Denmark. In September 2017, mayor delegation to Denmark on waste to energy and district heating. In March 2018, Denmark country presentation at the Özyeğin University in Turkey in Istanbul. In 15th of June of 2020, it was the DEİK webinar EU Talks, which is going to be held today, and our future coming activities is the DEİK Interconnected Business Series with Denmark in cooperation with DEİK, and frequent meetings with Danish ambassadors and consul generals to Turkey, also Turkish ambassadors to Denmark. So after having a brief information about the Turkey-Denmark Business Council, I would like to start with my remarks on the topic which we're going to having discussions and our distinguished panelists correspondences and experiences on this food security and sustainability era. As we all know, due to COVID-19 pandemic, border closures, quarantines, and market supply chain and trade disruptions are restricting people's access to sufficient and diverse and nutritious sources of food, especially in countries hit hard by the virus or already affected by high levels of food insecurity. Both lives and livelihoods are at risk from this pandemic. Though in some countries the spread of the pandemic has been slowing down and the cases are decreasing, in others COVID-19 is resurging and continuing to spread quickly. This is still a global problem calling for a global response. In any scenario, the most effective will be the poorest and most vulnerable segments of the population, including migrants, the displaced, and those hit by conflict. Countries in protracted crisis also suffer from underinvestment in public health, which will amplify the pandemic's impacts. Some 820 million people around the world are experiencing hunger, consuming an insufficient amount of calories for a normal active life for a long period. Hunger impacts everyone negatively, but it's particularly damaging on children's growth and development. Its effects are irreversible and carry long-term implications for our future and sustainable development. All we know that the pandemic will eventually retreat, but we still don't know how fast this will happen. We also know that this shock is a somewhat unusual as it affects significant elements of both food supply and demand. The significant slowdown of all economies of the world, and especially of the most vulnerable ones, as unemployment rates have risen and COVID-19's economic impacts will be felt more, will make countries, especially food import dependent countries, struggle to have the needed resources to buy food. In turn, as demand for food will decrease over the next months, prices should be going down in 2020, and thus this will have a negative impact on farmers and agriculture sector sustainability development. As of now, disruptions have been minimal as food supply has been adequate and markets have been stable so far. However, we have already seen challenges in terms of logistic bottlenecks, not being able to move food from A point to point B, which have by mid-May largely resolved, and likely there is less food of high value commodities, including example fruits and vegetables, being brought to market. As of June, we still expect disruptions in the food supply chains, especially in the high value commodities, meat, fish, milk, fruits and vegetables, and the restrictions of movements as well as a basic aversion behavior by workers may impede farmers from farming and food processors who handle the vast majority of agricultural products from processing. Shortage of fertilizers, veterinary medicines and other input could affect agricultural production also. Closures of restaurants and less frequent grocery shipping diminish demand for fresh produce and fisheries products, affecting producers and suppliers. Sectors in agriculture, fisheries and aquaculture are particularly also affected by the restrictions on tourism, closure of restaurants and cafe and school meals suspension. What is also worrying is that at the end of 2019, a further of 183 million people in 55 countries and the territories were found to be exposed to acute food insecurity, not yet at a crisis level, but outing them at the risk of slipping into crisis levels if faced with a shock or stressor such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Indeed, if COVID-19 cases proliferate in countries home to millions of people experiencing acute food insecurity, many of those public health and social protection systems face capacity constraints and the consequences could be drastic. So, coming to the topic, we all know that the food security and sustainability issues are much more crucial than ever. So I would like to give the word and the floor to Annette, our General Consul of Denmark to Istanbul, and continue with her valuable experiences and the comments on the topic by contributing to Denmark's capabilities and experiences on the food security and sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emrah, and let me first take this opportunity to congratulate once again the new board of the Turkey-Denmark Business Council. We are delighted to see all of you there, and we are looking very much forward to continuing our cooperation. Of course, it's been a little challenged in the first month due to this Corona crisis, but I'm sure that we will have ample opportunity exploring Danish-Turkish relations during the next coming years that you are in the chair. So on Denmark and the Corona crisis, we were hit pretty hard in the beginning, but as Turkey, Denmark closed down very effectively and was closed down for a couple of months very effectively, which means that now actually it's very parallel to the way it's developed in Turkey, because now Denmark is also opening all shops and cafes and restaurants and companies are opened, and this today actually the civil servants from the east part of Denmark are also allowed back in the office, which means my colleagues back in the foreign ministry in Copenhagen are now also allowed to go to work in the office in a controlled manner, where not everybody will be working at the same time, but recognizing that things are moving in the right direction. In Denmark, we are seeing less and less infected, and we have a very effective test strategy where you, with your Danish ID card, can go and book an online time. I did that myself when I landed in Denmark last week, and within 2 days you have the result. So a lot of more people are being tested, and the borders open today between Denmark, Germany, Norway and Iceland. Denmark is still a little bit reluctant to open internally in the EU, not to speak of any third countries outside the EU. So we're following this very closely, because of course it's interesting also in respect of Turkey and our Turkish-Danish relationship. But so far I think we need to probably wait until the end of August until we see a full opening of the Danish borders. There are a lot of exemptions to being able to enter Denmark, and business purpose is one of them. So if you can document you have a meeting in Denmark, you can enter Denmark, of course, with the kind of visa that you like. So the government has been very good at introducing a lot of serious measures in the beginning, and now they're being criticized largely for being too slow at opening again. And I think this is one of the situations where it's so difficult to have an opinion, because it is very difficult to know whether who to trust, and you know what not even the experts themselves know exactly what is going on. They have been the medical experts in Denmark have been wrong so many times during this Corona, where they predicted that there would be mass immunity, then there wasn't. They predicted that we would have much more infected, so it would be there would be pressure on the hospitals. That didn't happen either. So a lot of incidents where they have tried their best to find out what is happening, but it just proves to me that this is completely new territory and nobody knows how to maneuver or how to navigate. And I think we just have to compliment both the Danish and the Turkish government for being just in time and actually taking all the relevant measures that should be taken to combat this epidemic. So we have a good chance of getting back on track and continuing with business in both of our countries. Denmark has introduced, to mitigate some of the economic risks here, Denmark has introduced a large export and investment package to Danish companies, directed primarily at Danish SMEs, but also at larger Danish companies. And we have informed all of our Danish companies in Turkey about this. And there's actually a total of 225 million, which is about 30 million euro, in aid to exporting companies, primarily giving them a discount on the services of the Danish Trade Council to promote their services abroad. And we are in dialogue with so many Danish companies that were not really interested in Turkey before because they found it maybe too risky or our prices were too high. Where with these new incentives, we actually see a renewed interest in the Turkish market, which I find very positive. Because of course, I'm a huge believer in the Turkish market, and I'm absolutely sure that the Turkish economy will bounce back as it has done time after time. And now, therefore, is a fantastic opportunity for people to invest in Turkey and to invest in building a business in Turkey and building partnerships with Turkish companies. So we are spending a lot of our time advising Danish companies on how to do this within the various sectors. And of course, sustainability is in the forefront of everything we do. I'm sure you all know that Denmark was the first country to announce that we would be CO2 or 70% CO2 neutral by 2030, as a sort of a pioneer in autumn last year. And the Corona crisis, to some extent, has made it easier because we haven't consumed so much. So for a while, it went really well with the emissions. But now, of course, when everything comes back on track, the dialogue becomes even more important on how do we together ensure that we continue the good signs from these 2 months where we haven't consumed so much, and how can we introduce much more sustainable technologies? How can we within food security, of course, but also within energy consumption, water consumption, which is also part of the food production sector. So in my mind, all the sectors that can benefit from sustainability and are becoming more sustainable, they are sort of interconnected in a way. If you don't look at the way you consume energy in your food production, you're not sustainable, even though you may be organic or you may be using less fertilizer or be looking at other elements of sustainability. You still have to look at your water usage, your energy usage, and how to combine the best technologies from Turkey and Denmark in achieving the most optimal solutions. And I think that is our task the coming years, to identify the needs in Turkey and find out where are the Danish innovative solutions that we can help introduce. And with this new package, also there's a huge discount on trade delegations. So we are expecting a trade delegation to Turkey next year in Q1, which will be on energy as a sort of and sustainability. And I'm looking very much forward to that, because this is the first real delegation to Turkey for a while, due to the political turbulence in Turkey. We haven't been able to really get any high-level Danish officials to dare to go to Turkey, even though we are telling them that it's perfectly safe. So, but there is absolutely a new willingness now from the Danish companies and the Danish industry to visit Turkey. So I'm looking very much forward to that. We have also a new incoming ambassador. On 1st September, we will welcome Mr. Danny Anand, who is our current ambassador in Iran right now. And he has a huge appetite for trade. So he has instructed me to make sure that I meet everybody relevant within, he meets them within the first month of his ambassadorship. So he will be coming to Istanbul, and we will be organizing events with him so he can be introduced to the Turkish-Danish Business Council, but also, of course, to Danish companies and to the relevant Turkish stakeholders and partners and companies that we are all engaging with. So I'm looking very much forward to that. I think he will be a good follower for Ambassador Olling, who has done a fantastic job in the 4 years that he was the Danish ambassador. And I'm also looking forward to you know, re-engaging with the Danish or the Turkish ambassador to Denmark, Mr. Kenan İpek, who's a good friend, and introducing him to the Danish ambassador and getting reconnecting on the Danish-Turkish business issues that we were actually doing quite well with before this whole Corona crisis turned our lives upside down. My final remarks will just be that sustainability is, of course, in the forefront of everything. And if there's something we have learned from the last couple of months, it's that we all need to contribute, but also that it's possible. You know, from one day to the other, people didn't drive anymore, didn't consume anymore, didn't use so much waste anymore. These kind of lessons that we learned because we were forced to, I think we can very easily implement some of these things in our daily lives going forward to make sure that we continue the good trend of consuming more wisely and more sustainably. And I'm looking forward to contributing to that my trade team, whom I'm sure are all on this call today. We are 7 in total in the consulate in Istanbul. We are here to advise all of the Turkish and Danish companies that are interested in doing business with Denmark. And I'm really looking forward to turning 2020 into a sustainable business year and putting Corona behind us and focusing on the future and all the opportunities that we will definitely have together. That was my remarks. Thank you so much for giving me the floor, and back to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Thanks for your contributions and your strong belief on Turkish economy and bouncing back. Your remarks on making 2020 sustainable business sharing with Danish and Turkish businessmen and business associations was also appreciated by all our audience, I guess, here and the distinguished panelists. So we will be together working on that hard in 2020, and the following 2021 is much more important for the projects and the projections we have discussed formerly. Thank you for your contribution. Now I would like to continue with Mrs. Işıkgece, Ayşin Işıkgece. I would identify her as the queen of corporate farmers because under her management she is operating more than 330,000 hectares of land in Turkey by being the chairperson and director general of agricultural enterprises, which means that 50% more than an area of Luxembourg. So the floor is Ayşin Hanım's, and she's also spent many years on the retail sector, and she knows the shelf on this perspective of consumer size. Now she is in this 0.0, starting with the seeds and breedings and the cattles and the agricultural production, and know both sides of the business and both sides of the chains. So Ayşin Hanım, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Emrah Bey. Good morning, everyone. I am Ayşin Işıkgece, General Manager and Chairperson of Tigem. As Emrah Bey told, I started Tigem 2 years ago. I am coming from private sector. Last 28 years, I worked in the retail sector. That's why it's really good experience for me in under government. It's first time I'm working under government organization. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us. The COVID is a big trouble around the world, you know. I will try to give you information about our activities, first of all. I would like to mention about Tigem. First, Tigem is the biggest farmer, as you told, in Turkey. It has a history of 700 years. We are under the authority of the Ministry of Agriculture. We have 17 farms in different locations. You can see on the map. We are producing certificated seeds and livestock, as you told Emrah Bey. We breed cattle and sheep and provide them to the farmers. We are trying to increase the quality of agriculture in Turkey. We also have Arabian racing horses, and we have gazelles, goats, and dogs. We are protecting their genetics. This is one of our important tasks under Tigem. Tigem is an example for Turkish farmers. There are huge investments and technologies in our farms. We are a market leader. Our share is 37%. Last year, we had 37% on seeds as a share, but one year before, in 1918, it was 30. We increased our share. We are the best on the market about quality. Each year, we sell 170,000 tons of cereals. This year, we started new project. The first one is the local vegetable project. We started planting 6 different national seeds in our farms. It can be good possibility together with Denmark. We can make a trade. We are open to make trade about our all articles. It can be a really good possibility for the both countries. We started a great campaign, which is called Native Seed Project. It's really important project, maybe you heard before. We have collected the forgotten seeds from the villages and planted them. We are trying to protect these seeds, and lastly, we started producing cannabis. Cannabis is really important topic also nowadays, you know, on the world. This is the new trend, and because cannabis has a great industrial value, and we are working about this article to produce industrial cannabis seeds in our farms. And now we can talk about the pandemic. In the first weeks, there was a great chaos. The countries stopped exports, as you know. There was a panic buying in everywhere. It was something new for everyone. The three organizations, FAO, WHO, and WTO, made a joint call for supporting small farmers, expanding aid programs, focusing on bottlenecks, keeping on global trade, and now allowing food inflation, not allowing food inflation. So what we did in order to be ready for the pandemic, we made an action plan. Now I will give you information about this plan, which we did. We took every health measure in the farms. Our ministry started new policies. We held campaigns for the benefit of the people. We never lost contact with the farmers and the sector. It was really important for us. Maybe we spoke together with you, Emrah Bey, during the pandemic. Each and every day, we spent 7-8 hours in front of computer with the help of Zoom, together with all sector. We made meetings in order to understand what's happening on the market. It was really useful for us. I mean, suppliers were together with us, sector by sector. All retail groups were together with us. And we understood the stock of the articles, which type of difficulties we have in front of us. We were really checking the market. And after checking the market, of course, we made a meeting together with the other ministries in order to take some decisions, important decisions. And it was really fast decisions we did during the pandemic. We formed a science committee within our ministry. We established products desk and followed the harvest and yield figures. We took our actions according to these figures. For example, when we checked the figures of lemon, because of new harvest was in September, we noticed that the stock will not be enough. So we limited the export. It was a really important topic during the pandemic. Maybe we check from the newspapers and the other things. The lemon prices were 20 Turkish lira beginning of the pandemic. And we understood that our stock is not enough. And we were sending these articles to Russia and the other countries. And together with Trade Ministry, we had a decision to stop send articles to the other countries, and the price decreased from 22 for 5 Turkish liras. It was really important topic and also important decision which we had. It was only one example. It means that for each important articles, we checked always market, what's happening on the market, because you know from the other countries, retails were really crowded. Everybody rushed to the retail groups and they bought something, and it was really important to have article. Stock was really important topic. We applied all possible measures for preventing the spread of virus, and also we published the booklets and distributed to all producers. I mean, in order to give them the conscience and also informations, what's happening on the market. We had a lot of leaflet, booklets, brochures. We gave them information. We started joint efforts with TÜBİTAK for developing a vaccine. We provided empty lands to the producer free of charge for increasing the production. We were not late still, beginning of the corona, and we made a production there. Normally, these lands were idle, and now they become an additive source of production. This is very valuable because the quantity of the article is really important, because we don't know what's happening for the next days. I mean, maybe all gates, borders will close, or it will be open. We don't know. I mean, it's flu in front of us, you know. Our ministry donated 75% of the seed price in 21 cities. Tigem also sent 4,000 tons of seeds to 5 cities. We came together with the sector with video conference meetings, as I told. We listened to the problems of the market. It was really crucial for the market. And also, when we discussed together with the suppliers, retail groups, private sector, they were really happy to have close contact together with us. Travel permits were given for seasonal workers. The government supported the farmers with subventions. Loans were made easier for the farmers and producers. We made a 20% increase in our purchase price of wheat and barley. There was a surplus in Sivas and Sivrim due to stopping export. As you know, for Sivas and Sivrim, we are sending these articles to the European countries mainly. And beginning of the pandemic, the gates were closed, and we had a lot of stock in our hand. We put a fixed price for them in all markets. We work together with market in order to finish that stocks, because you know they are fresh. We should sell in the short term. Finally, we finished all the stocks. This was a good example for solidarity. We established a small facility and started producing masks in our farms for Tigem. Especially, it was a good example. The wife of the workers, they started to produce masks, because you know it was not easy to find masks. And for the other my farms also, this example, we made a producing mask in our facilities, because also we are using and it wasn't enough from the market. That's why we did by ourselves. We established a digital agricultural market called DTAP. Maybe you heard, I mean, 29th of April. Yes, we made a lancement about that topic. It's really important because face-to-face communication is not easy during the pandemic. That's why this is really important project, DTAP. With this platform, our farmers find market of their products, and our consumer will have a good quality products. Small producers are not crushed. We have more than 10,000 members of DTAP nowadays. Every day it is increasing. It is really good platform to become together about supply and demand, to find market for the food article, especially. Now we made lancement for the phase 1. Now we are working for phase 2. All animal products will come in, and the articles will enlarge. Unfortunately, we have seen long supermarket lines and empty shelves during this pandemic. We did not experience such things in Turkey, but we understood again that food is really important. So we started another campaign in coordination with FAO. The name of the campaign is Save Your Food. We want to be confident for the future. Food is important, we know this. So we need to decrease the waste as much as possible for everyone. It is really important topic, you know. We will continue about our project, and also we are open to make trade with Denmark. We can make a common meetings in order to find way about some articles in order to create good trade in between two countries. Thank you very much for listening me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Ayşin Hanım, for this valuable presentation. Tigem is, of course, the biggest player in agricultural production and having the responsibility to be a model in Turkey for the farmers. Being the corporate farmers, Tigem has inaugurated the DTAP, Digital Agricultural Market platform, which also enables us for the post-COVID era, which makes our farmers and stakeholders in agriculture sector to meet in the same platform, which also the digitalization of agriculture is also a point and a very crucial point and a very crucial target for Tigem. Thanks, Ayşin Hanım, for your contribution. And the waste from your presentation is one of the most crucial points. You know, the cliche statement that we have to grow more than 50% for coming 2050. But looking at the fact that coming from the farm to fork, we have approximately 45% of loss and waste in the whole chain. If we can reduce this loss and waste chain up to 5%, this means that we don't necessarily have to grow more than 50% than ever to feed this coming population. So waste and loss is a great issue. All the campaigns, all the things that will attract consumers' awareness on that point is crucial and much more appreciated and being supported by all stakeholders and by us and all the farmers. Thank you, Ayşin Hanım. Our next distinguished panelist is Ayşe Hanım, Mrs. Özyıldırım from CHR Hansen. CHR Hansen, as all you know, is a reputable company for more than 145 years of history back and is the most sustainable company on its expertise. So the floor is yours, Ayşe Hanım.
Thank you very much, Emrah Bey. I hope you have a full screen. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. As Emrah Bey stated, Chr. Hansen has been selected the most sustainable company in the world, and I will come to that. But today the topic is very much on food safety, food security, and sustainability, especially after the post-corona. Just about us, if you don't know Chr. Hansen, it's a bioscience company, and we develop not only solutions for food, but also for pharma and agricultural industries. And it's not a new company, it's 146 years old, and we hope to continue this way. Regarding sustainability awards, we actually got nominated by Corporate Knights as #1 in last year, and we are #2 this year. The first one is also a Danish company called Ørsted, and they are in wholesale power business. The reason why we were actually nominated, actually selected, was that 82% of our revenue contributes positively to the UN goals. I will come back to the UN goals, and we work especially on focused on 3 of them very much. When you look about the world problems, we need to think how to feed 10 billion people by 2050, as it was just mentioned, and to do this in a sustainable way. Actually, the 60% of the global consumers are worried about climate change, and they're right to do so, because we waste so much food, and actually there's also losses in supply chain and otherwise. And if that would be a country, it would be a country, the 3rd biggest contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions after US and China. So it's a big thing. And actually, if we reduce that, we would also feed more people naturally. So some of the global challenges are, firstly, there are a lot of people to feed. and this has to be done in a sustainable way. The food production should be also sustainable. Secondly, the 1/3 of all food is wasted, so it's a big thing. And you see a yogurt picture here. I'll come back to that because almost 20% is wasted when it comes to dairy. So as we increase, as we also see in this current Corona crisis, there are a lot of burden on healthcare. Currently, the 700,000 people are dead each year because of resistant infections, and this number will go up dramatically in coming years. Approximately in 2050, the number will rise to 10 million deaths per year if no other precautions are taken. So Chr. Hansen basically works in to find solutions to these 3 main problems. And as you can see on the slide, there are 3 UN SDGs are listed here that we work on, that we specifically work on. So today the topic is food waste, and why should we reduce food waste? Because there are a lot of hungry people on Earth, and if we could just save the 25% of the waste, that would feed all the hungry people in the world. So it also contributes to the Zero Hunger initiative of the UN. And also the number 12 is responsible production. So we should also take care about that. When you look at the 3 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which I think also Umut Bey will touch base on, these 3 are very much in line with the products of Chr. Hansen. That's why we selected these 3. So to give an example, we have solutions for each of them, and I don't want to go into detail, but you can have more efficient production or increase crop yields, so you can get out of the land per square meter, you get more crop, or you get more out of milk. When you look to the health aspect, you have much more, you can increase your immune system and therefore get less affected by diseases. And the same is valid for animal health as well. But today the topic is food waste, and I will talk more about that. So you can protect your food without any chemicals by completely natural ways using some of our solutions. So what does food cultures do? Actually, food cultures can help your food fresh and safe. And it's not only applied in dairy, but also we see more and more ready-to-eat foods and salads. It could be applied in dairy for sure, both cheese and yogurt and others, in wine and meat and fish. So our aim is not only extending shelf life by natural means, but also keeping your products fresher for longer. That means you can spoil the yogurt in the supply chain, but also in your fridge. So to eliminate these things, you put some good bacteria into the yogurt or into other products listed here to extend shelf life. It's a natural way, and it's completely validated by a lot of customers of ours as well. So the overall aim is increasing product quality and safety, therefore decreasing food waste, both at home or in supply chain, and creating more sustainable production methods for our customers. So how does the bacteria do that? The food cultures help extending shelf life. The first graph on the left is without any bioprotection. You see, for example, in the day 15 or 20, some kind of mold in your yogurt. And if you add the good bacteria that help protecting the yogurt, you can see it maybe on the day 30 or 25. So it just shifts, it adds another hurdle to protect what you have produced nicely. So coming to waste, actually 30% of the yogurt waste could be reduced with that. And you can see this is actually yogurt produced on the same date. It's unbelievable, but this one has this good bacteria in it. This one hasn't that, and this one is completely nothing is added. So we all might come across to this in our fridge if things go wrong. So dairy, why dairy? Because dairy is both consumed widely and also is very fragile in supply chain and has relatively short shelf life. Actually, after Corona, what happened? This report I got from Euromonitor lately, and when you look, packaged good is more or less the only item that has increased in sales, and although it was expected to decrease if there would be no Corona. So after Corona, we can see the 6% increase in packaged goods. So people tend to buy more packaged goods because they're afraid of the artisanal or other production methods. If that you can see it's increased. So and these sentences I copied from the report as well. Actually, it's very much in line what I was just telling you since some minutes. So in the short to mid-term, after COVID, is expected to change consumer priorities. Food waste, animal welfare, food security will be frontlined much more than ever. The healthy eating will become more important. So actually, what we think of natural, healthy, reducing food waste is very relevant to discuss right now. So I will just show a movie. I hope I can do it technically, but we will. I will just stop sharing and share again, and I will come back.
Food waste is a global challenge, with 1/3 of all food being wasted. In the dairy industry, 20% is wasted, and 80% of the yogurt waste is related to a short best before date. Christian Hansen has identified a set of good bacteria and combined them into bioprotective cultures that help dairy products stay fresh for longer and reduce food waste in an all-natural way. If these bioprotective cultures were applied to all yogurt in Europe, it could reduce waste with 30% simply by extending the shelf life. A study commissioned by Christian Hansen and reviewed by leading European researchers looked at the socio-economic impact of extending the shelf life of yogurt using natural means.
The study looks at the environmental impact, what could happen to food waste throughout the supply chain, and also looks at economic incentives for the different actors within that supply chain. One of the key findings from it is that there are situations, highly plausible situations, in which there are economic benefits for both dairy manufacturers and retailers, while still reducing food waste across the supply chain. I think this study could have a real positive benefit. It could be a real catalyst for change. It could be that spark that gets dairy manufacturers and retailers to adopt a natural method for extending the shelf life.
I think that increasing the shelf life, maybe 3 or 4 days, would definitely make a difference for stores like these.
If the shelf life of yogurt gets extended.
Görüntü yok mu dediniz?
Unfortunately, we couldn't see. We could only hear.
Baştan başlatayım çünkü güzel bir şey. Tekrar deniyorum. Kusura bakmayın. Evet, bugün şansımız yaver gitmedi herhalde olmayacak. Sorry about it. But I think it's quite clear that reducing food waste has an impact. We can do it naturally, and that savings of food waste would benefit us both economically, but also just feeding more people on Earth. So with that, I wish to thank you all for listening to me, and I would be open for questions. And I can send the link to the presentation and the video if need be.
Thank you, Ayşe Hanım. Thanks for your contribution and the good practices under Hansen, which you have mentioned. Maybe we could share the link of the video from our chat panel. The panelists could have time to watch that video. Unfortunately, technically, we couldn't watch it. And your remarks in healthy eating, yes, healthy eating will become even much more important than ever. This is important. Food waste, animal welfare, and food security will be front lines. This is what we are also experiencing during COVID-19, and after COVID-19, we'll be having much more keen on food security and food waste issues. Thanks for your presentation. We will be keeping touch in the Q&A session with you. And now our final distinguished panelist is Dr. Umut Keroğlu, the country director of Novozymes. Novozymes is also a very reputable international global company. Is committed to help solving 3 problems. Before Umut Bey will be mentioning, I would like to remark 3 global challenges, which is climate, water and sustainable production, and consumption. So Novozymes is the championship and leader of biological solution in its era. And the floor is yours, Umut Bey.
Thank you, Emrah Bey. Thank you very much. And also, thanks for everyone joining. I think, having a lot of people with this sustainability mindset around the table and then listening them is just, I would say, another day of an eye-opener also for me. Also, thanks for bringing us together and as well the opportunity given. So from one side, I'm gonna share my screen and I have just took the 3 slides, just pictures. I'm not gonna bore you with that, with a lot of, I would say, verbose things. But just before that, there are always, so to say, advantages and disadvantages starting early or finishing at the end. So the good thing is all the clever, so to say, people before you bringing really good insight to the table. The challenge is what else you can bring to the table. So, and if you don't mind, I guess I just want to refer a couple of things that the distinguished panelists brought to the table, just a kind of refresher, and as well making sure that I just don't want to overlap with the other things. So I think you started with especially the insecurity of the food, and as well, the limitations that we have, Emrah Bey, that I believe, COVID-19, prior to COVID-19, no one would have expected that that's the reason why it just generated this disruption. Annette underlined the importance of why we should all contribute. I think it was a great statement also she did. Like, we have seen that change is one, in majority cases, change is extremely difficult, but COVID-19 made us change very fast in an agile way. So it's just, I would say, another thing that probably no one would predict. And Ayşin was also mentioning agility from one side. From the other side, the importance of togetherness, why we should do this all together, because when I'm gonna speak about Novozymes, I'm gonna also bring it to the table. We are just strong as we are together. We are just as much as impactful as long as we are together. And then Ayşe brought the importance of food waste, that if I also combine it with what you have said, from one side, we keep hearing this, it's becoming a cliche, but it is also, cold truth that there will be 3 billion more people in the earth by 2050, which means there are more mouths to feed, where I believe, the activities or the actions that we are taking right now will be a kind of game changer by 2050. If we are going to do the things in the way that it should be, we will see the positive outcome of it, and vice versa. But from one side, let me share my screen, and from the other side, maybe just add 3 things. I would say from a perspective of what COVID-19 brought to the perspective. One is, by the way, you see me looking at my left and right, and I have multiple screens and notes here and there, so don't sorry for that one. One thing I believe COVID-19 proved is still we are so vulnerable. So, the supply chains that we have, is, the healthcare systems, like that's also the reason of all these lockdowns, immediate lockdowns, we still are vulnerable. It just showed us how vulnerable we are. The other thing is, we keep speaking about generating supply chains which is self-feeding itself, or which is self-sufficient. And another thing, you see, when we look at, for example, grain markets, majority of the grain products are being produced in one part of the globe and then being delivered into another. And when your supply chain is disrupted, the borders are closed, there is no way that you can bring it and feed your people. So that's why in sustainable ways, we just need to make our countries self-sufficient. So I think this is an eye-opener to, I don't know, every stakeholder, or all the stakeholders in a country, be it governmental, non-governmental, the corporations, whoever they are, this is a true eye-opener and another reason why we should work together. And the other thing is, probably like, prior to COVID-19, we were so much on digitization and, how we can use the digital on, mining the data, working on the data, generating outcomes with it. But we also understood that, look, still the large part of food and beverage and agricultural industries are, on a kind of manpower base. So you just need to have your manpower. You just need to have your manpower also in perspective, and you just make sure that you just produce from one side, and from the other side, you just got back to the production and then bring it to the people. That said, I hope now you see my screen in the beginning of my presentation. If with that opportunity and maybe a kind of so to say long introduction, I'm not gonna spend too much time on Novozymes. It's not because that we really don't do great things, but we just definitely do. And I just want to spend some time on the reason why we do that. So, all of us, the ones in, working in the, so to say, the corporations or in the professional business life, we keep speaking about the missions and visions of our companies and, what we are delivering from products and services point of view. When it comes to Novozymes, we call it as purpose, or so to say, the reason why we do this. And we are also a Danish company, like all the other Danish companies. We are also extremely purpose-driven, sustainability-driven. And, the basic reason why we do this is mainly, we just aim for better lives. So this is why we do that. And the world is growing. It's becoming more and more difficult to be able to secure these better lives. And we just, with our all biological solutions, all of our products are either enzymes or microbes that we find it from Mama Nature, we call it. And all this, so to say, natural part of Mama helps us, producing these enzymes, these microbes, and then bring it to the people together. And that's the reason why when Ayşin was mentioning togetherness as well, Emrah, I was just, well, yes, it is impossible if we are not in this together. So as said, we from one side have our purpose doing things, and from the other side we are also from the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We also have some focus areas among these, so to say, 17 elements in here. Well, Ayşin has mentioned, a couple of those, especially the 3 of them, and how Christian Hansen, focuses on those. I'm going to also speak a little onto this, but all in all, if we look at the 17 different development goals or SDGs, Novozymes is focusing mainly 6 of it, given the nature of it as business, given the nature of what we do. So they are, we are just having, so to say, initiatives around zero hunger, which is the second one here. And we also have, initiatives on climate action, on quality education, on clean water and sanitation. For example, clean water is a strategic opportunity area for Novozymes, it is also even not a business area for us. We just focus on it because by 2030 and 2050, we know that water will become clean water, and reaching to clean water will be a difficulty. We also focus on responsible consumption and production, and like many Danish companies, we proudly also focus on affordable and clean energy. That said, if we keep speaking that biological answers or biological solutions are our core, so to say, business, it is also worth to say that we have 3 divisions in our organization that each of them are focusing on certain, so to say, business areas. One of them is called agriculture and bioenergy, where we have our enzymes and microbes for improvement of agricultural and bioenergy products or industries. Then we have food and beverage, and we call it as household care and technical industries, which is the enzymes and the microbes mainly we use for, hand washers, dishwashers, textiles, water treatments and all that stuff. That said, and given the context, I'm gonna spend time on speaking the areas which is for today's perspective falling under food and beverage, bioagriculture, and animal health and nutrition. But when you look at these, and also maybe referring to so to say, the growing population by 2050, and the pressure it is putting into the supply chain, into the production, when we look at our solutions in food and beverage, the solutions that we have are mainly for, improving the, the efficiency of production, is, so to say, producing more with less, so to say, and also, enabling products to be, remaining longer in the shelf life. Good examples came from Ayşe for yogurt production on biopreservation. Another example could be bread, like, majority of the breads that we have purchased from the shelves of supermarkets, they have a certain shelf life, and just it stays fresh in the shelf. So the fact which now COVID-19 pressed us or pressurized us, buying more packed foods with this hygiene focus and all that stuff, having these longer shelf lives or remaining fresh in the shelf became an important thing in a vast majority of the, so to say, processed food. So from one side, you are improving the processability, you are improving the efficiency, and from the other side, you just make it stay longer in the shelf. Then when you look at the bioagriculture, we have our solutions, mainly biostimulants or mainly products, which is helping the efficiency of a crop per acre of a land. So it was a total eye-opener to me when I was once speaking with a colleague when he said that, look, a per acre efficiency of a grain, sorghum, so to say, in Italy is six times higher than, say, that in Africa, in Kenya. Well, I just thought that, look, we have the land, but we don't have enough, so to say, efficiency to produce the, so to say, the right amount of the product, and probably not with the right, so to say, quality parameters. So now when you look at what we have products that we just coat the seed of any kind of grain, that this seed becomes more, so to say, tolerant to the adverse conditions, be it, I would say, overheat, be it over cold, like then, or, so to say, it makes the seed more tolerant to these adverse conditions, and with this way you just increase the efficiency or increase the total output from a per acre of a land. Couple of examples from our animal health and nutrition area. We also, from one side, Ayşin was also explaining, the number of cattle and, the sheep and this and that we have. From one side, the number is important, but from the other side, again, the efficiency is also important, that when you feed these animals, the nutrition of it and the biodigestibility of it should be also on the right side to be able to get the right outcome or the efficient outcome from this, so to say, from these protein sources, because in the end they are the protein sources for us. So that said, here comes my last slide, and maybe I just spent speaking half of my time, or maybe 1/3 of my time, also speaking also the examples like here. But as you can see, this, so to say, this. These 17 sustainability goals, one way or the other, just given these 3 examples, are connected to, the Novozymes products one way or the other, from zero hunger point of view, from food waste point of view, and also, as underlined, producing more with kind of less point of view. And that said, maybe final thing that I would be underlining in here is maybe if we consider, when we look at all these sustainability activities that we have, all these, so to say, initiatives running here and there, the efficiency question we should also ask ourselves, that, we have all these separate activities together, but we should be thinking all together have to probably make it more efficient and take more outcome with it. And I just want to close with our, so to say, positioning that we, from one side, look for a better world, and having this one is just continuously possible, continuously with rethinking tomorrow. So let's rethink it and then look for the ways of doing it better. With that, maybe I'm a little over time. You never know when I speak sustainability, Emrah, if it is, sorry for that one. But with that, back on to you. And thanks for listening. And thanks everyone being here around the table.
Thank you, Umut Bey. You're quite good at timing, this time at least. You were sustainable. Regarding the topic sustainability, your timing was sustainable enough. Your remarks, your highlight was BioX solutions, refreshing the shelf, fresh for longer, biosolutions, bioagriculture, and seed tolerancy. Seed tolerancy is very crucial due to these climate changes. And climate changes will be affecting our own productions, the whole world's production. Approximately, the food prices will go up 84% according to FAO's reports in 2019 in the following 20 years. So climate change, coming from the fact that COVID-19 made us much more aware about the risk and the uncertainty. The climate change also is a big issue, which is also having unfortunately a positive correlation, a strong correlation between risk and uncertainty, which means that seed tolerancy is very, very crucial. And the BioX solutions, which also European Union Green Deal is also keen on these bio solutions for the following years, which means that I know that Novozymes, coming from the years of 2014 with the BioAg Alliance with a company, global company, you're trying more than 100,000 trials, plots of trials in hectares, in huge quantities, the bio solutions for inputs for good and healthy agricultural production. So thanks for your presentation, and let me continue with Ayşe and try her yogurt applications for extending shelf life of yogurt. And let's try the video again, and then we have 3 questions to be answered. I will divert the questions to you to each our distinguished panelists.
I will try again. Please tell me if you can't see it.
We will.
Food waste is a global challenge, with 1/3 of all food being wasted. In the dairy industry, 20% is wasted, and 80% of the yogurt waste is related to a short best before date. Christian Hansen has identified a set of good bacteria and combined them into bioprotective cultures that help dairy products stay fresh for longer and reduce food waste in an all-natural way. If these bioprotective cultures were applied to all yogurt in Europe, it could reduce waste with 30% simply by extending the shelf life. A study commissioned by Christian Hansen and reviewed by leading European researchers looked at the socio-economic impact of extending the shelf life of yogurt using natural means.
The study looks at the environmental impact, what could happen to food waste throughout the supply chain, and also looks at economic incentives for the different actors within that supply chain. One of the key findings from it is that there are situations, highly plausible situations, in which there are economic benefits for both dairy manufacturers and retailers, while still reducing food waste across the supply chain. I think this study could have a real positive benefit. It could be a real catalyst for change. It could be that spark that gets dairy manufacturers and retailers to adopt a natural method for extending the shelf life.
I think that increasing the shelf life by maybe 3 or 4 days would definitely make a difference for stores like these.
If the shelf life of yogurt gets extended using something like FreshQ in a natural way, then we know from lots of studies that consumers often look for products on the shelf with the longest possible shelf life. So there's the opportunity for manufacturers that are producing yogurt with longer shelf life that they could gain market share as a result of this.
Dairy manufacturers, retailers and regulators, they all want to find solutions to reduce food waste, but they're all asking the same question: what do consumers think? To answer the question, we had an independent agency set up a consumer panel where they tested products with a longer shelf life all naturally.
Sie haben heute einen Joghurt getestet, der eine längere Haltbarkeit von 7 Tagen hatte. Was war Ihr Eindruck über diesen Joghurt?
Also ich habe da eigentlich keinen großen Unterschied geschmeckt.
Würde es Ihr Einkaufsverhalten ändern, wenn Sie die Möglichkeit hätten, einen 100% natürlichen Joghurt zu kaufen, der auch eine längere Haltbarkeit hat?
Wenn der Joghurt aus 100% Naturstoffen besteht und dadurch eine längere Haltbarkeit hat, würde ich auch mehr Joghurt kaufen.
Ich würde mehr davon kaufen, ja.
Wären Sie auch bereit, 5 Cent pro Kilo Joghurt mehr dafür auszugeben?
Ja, auch 10 Cent.
I think one of the really interesting conclusions from this consumer panel was that if you actually inform consumers about the benefit a product can have on food waste, well, that means they actually prefer that product.
Christian Hansen has embarked on a journey to fight food waste using good, natural bacteria. We invite you to join us in this fight. Together, we can make a difference.
Ayşe, thanks for sharing. It was worth trying it for the third time. Yeah, anything extending shelf life, anything contributing on food waste is much more appreciated than ever. What we are aware after COVID-19 post-era, we have seen that fresh for longer, extending shelf life with bio-solutions, natural solutions will be much more discussed and will be much more on the table during coming years. So with your permission, I would like to have our audience's questions and start with Ayşin Hanım. And the question to Ayşin Hanım, there are actually 2 questions. One of them was a recent question. The first one, how does Turkey secure and sustain national food security in terms of food variety and storage, optimum volumes and geographical storage locations? This is the first question. The second question, Ayşin Hanım, is from Niels Lurch Peterson. In your presentation, you spoke about vaccines and one of the slides, and which kind of vaccines and was conducted and what was the effect? The second question was that. The floor is yours.
Okay. For the first question, we are promoting the licensed warehouse in our country, as you know. Our aim is to stop product waste, decrease shipment cost, and taking trade under registration is really important. Also, we are providing a price market stability. Our capacity is about 5 million tons. We have 91 companies in 130 points. The government is also giving subventions for the farmers choosing licensed warehouse. And also our quality assurance responsibility persons are working about the standards, because if we check Corona, it's something different than the other standards. I mean, who is selling food, who is transferring food, who is keeping food in the warehouse has to have some different standards. That's why quality assurance responsibility guys, they are writing a guide, they are writing a new standards because it's something totally different than the other standards, you know. and it will help us about the keeping that food or selling these foods or transferring these foods. It will be really important for us because there is no example for the other countries also. It's something new and it's protecting us from the corona effect. About vaccine, to be honest, I am not too much deep, but we are working in some different departments. I mean, under agricultural organization, we are working, and also the other ministries, they are working about vaccine. And nowadays, they are discovering some new things. They are making some trials on horse, especially, in order to see the result. But what was the last situation on the vaccine? To be honest, I'm not clear now. They can follow the news on magazines and the others we can distribute if we have something new.
Thank you, Ayşin Hanım, for your explanations and the recent updates on the two questions. Also, Turkey, with geographical opportunities, is having the opportunity to depot more than 2.5 million tons of potatoes in Nevşehir region, where there is under cave, digged under cave natural depots. We approximately keep our potatoes and potato tubers for up to 2.5 million tons in Nevşehir region, where we know as Ürgüp and Peribacaları for balloon sailing. The geographical location is also a touristic location, but the other side of the location is well known with naturally warehousing of potatoes. A contribution on my side regarding the agricultural capabilities of Turkey for logistics. And the second question to Ayşe Hanım and Umut Bey, you can answer both how you would like to prefer, and I can also support you on that question. How soon digitalization and artificial intelligence and advanced technologies will be applied in agriculture, and what kind of educational requirements does such a widespread application entail? And what is Denmark's experience in this regards? Rather than Turkey, what is Denmark's experience in this regards? Thank you.
You want to go first, like ladies first? Or do you want me to take it?
Umut Bey, buyurun.
Well, I think it's a good question because in the end, digitization. We keep speaking about it. We keep speaking highly about it, and from one side, it has benefits, and I was also mentioning during my part, especially from one side, you just need to set up the digitization in a way that it just gives you the right outcome for your decisions, to base your decisions. From the other side, you still need to design the things with the brain power. So this is important. So I think then this is what we need to do is just to combine the things into each other. Two examples that I have thought of when you were asking the question. One was, given that we do the business in biotechnology area, and biotechnology, since everything is just natural, you just need to mimic the natural conditions when you are developing something. And all this mimicking what kind of natural differences might happen from a temperature point of view, from a pH point of view, from a, I don't know what kind of, in the end, what we do is biology, all these DNAs, we just work on these things. So as much you are able to simulate the things, that much you are able to derive outcomes with that, Emrah Bey. So, you also referred to the seed coatings, for example. You just from one side, collect the data, then mine it, then so to say model it, and then once you model, you just need to get so what is the right then the seed stimulant or the coating which will be the most adaptable to these conditions. So that's why what we do, we just collect the data, mine it, model it, and try to fit into this one. That's why seed coatings could be an area that I can refer. Another thing would be, we also know that the animal proteins are becoming extremely expensive, and also generating too much of carbon dioxide, that we are from the other side trying to get carbon neutral. And that's why the protein ingredients or the protein from vegetable sources is also becoming important. But the taste is different, the texture is different. That's why we also collect data, especially from the fact that, okay, so what kind of protein profile we have and what kind of, so to say, flavor and texture that it has, and then start generating our products to be able to generate a protein profile which is, so to say, digestible, palatable, and efficient from that perspective. So these two examples, I hope, can make the participants to do a kind of connection between how digitization can be used in so to say, in sustainability, so to say, efforts, if it covers.
Thank you, Umut Bey. Maybe I will go on with another question with Ayşe Hanım. Before that, I also want to contribute on that topic. Industry 4.0, which is also well known and coming up with the mass production, maybe not with the agricultural production. On the food chain side, on the food production side, yes, but for the agricultural production, still it is a debate. I always emphasize on the more than numbers, the philosophy of digitalization in agriculture, which means that human resources, which I call human precious, human valuables, human values, are still placing a majority role of the agricultural production, which means that you cannot digitize the whole chain of agricultural production 100%, which means that 80% of the farming in the world globally is being implemented by family farmers, which also results with not only an agricultural production, is a way of life, which means that you cannot digitize people's way of living by making all the chains in agricultural production like you make in the automotive industry or the other industries. So digitalization, to a certain extent, should be used as a platform and leverage in agricultural production, but cannot and should not change the way of people's livelihoods, which people in rural areas is aiming to have their lives and the way of life and gainings from farming. This is one contribution also on my side.
Thank you.
Emphasizing on the social aspect of agricultural production and agricultural population globally. So, Ayşe Hanım, there's a much more specific question. If you don't mind, I would like to divert it to you. One of our audience. Yeah.
Before coming to the next question, I could also say a couple of words regarding digitalization. Regarding agriculture, actually, it's been used to some extent with drone imaging, precision farming, landscaping. However, that impact to our current business today is minimal. It could be game-changing in the future, 10, 20 years. We know that the Danish universities are looking into this, but we don't know how advanced they are at the moment. Regarding other services we offer, we use a lot of more of digitalization, not only in agriculture, but also, for example, milk collection, in phage, and in many other aspects. We start to use heavily the digital services because it increases speed and visibility. So that's just to add to your comments.
Yeah, thanks for your contribution. While keeping with you, from Borga Aruta, is emphasizing on the importance of extension of shelf life of yogurt, but maybe there could be a hesitation or a concern from our consumer side, emphasizing on if shelf life will cause a shift on consumer demand for the larger packages, and this can keep the waste problem ongoing. What is your opinion about this?
Actually, if the consumer buys a 5 kilogram pack instead of 1 kilogram times 5, that will overall reduce the pack size and reduce the waste in terms of packaging. And if that 5 kilogram yogurt keeps fresh along his shelf life and could be consumed within that period, there would be basically less waste. Maybe I didn't understand the question.
The question was that if the shelf life extends to a certain extent and we have much more shelf life than before, will the consumer demand towards buying much more than they need? Which means that is this also could be possibly result with a food waste?
I believe not, because now also it's some companies in Scandinavia started to put also not only best before dates but also good after dates. So people tend to smell the product or look visually and still consume it if the date is expired. So this is like emerging trend actually. So I don't expect that to happen.
Thanks for your answer. Another question, maybe I could answer that. Can you please share your opinions about recovery after corona crisis about food services with relevant technologies? Yes, we see in South East and Far East actually that the online fresh fruit and food categories is extended up to 40% of the whole online sales, versus we see only single digits in Europe in food categories. So there's a huge gap on this online platform for Europe countries and for Turkey even, and for the other rest of the world, that the humans, the consumers awareness and consumers interest on buying online services, which also needs to improve online platform deliveries in each country and each location, will be the new challenge and will be the new era of the trade and the big volumes and just-in-time deliveries for the shelf life regarding the improvements in shelf life extension is going to be a huge challenge. And the trade, I think 50% of the trade for food categories will be online in the upcoming years and will be available via applications, as you may also experience, as you're experiencing for the last 3 months extraordinarily. Maybe I could have the answer to that question. And I like to continue with Annette. The question, there were 2 questions actually. The first question is, what kind of opportunities are there in Denmark-Turkey collaboration for the circular economy transformation, which also Denmark is very keen on and have a vast expertise and experience on circular economy. The second question was from Figen Hanım. He was the chairperson of women cooperatives in Turkey and likes to collaborate with women cooperatives in Denmark and trying to have the engagements and the networking channels to contact with the Danish women cooperatives. 2 questions, Annette. We can't hear you.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me start with the first one. Of course, being the first female consul general from Denmark in Turkey, in Istanbul, and having a largely female-dominated trade team, I'm a huge advocate of cooperation, and of course also women's partnerships and societies, because there is still a gap to be filled in respect of women in leadership, both in Turkey but also in Denmark. So I'll be more than happy to set up a meeting and continue this bilaterally, because I think, and just send me an email and we will react on that, and I will find out specifically what in Denmark could be of interest in this context. But we have a lot of different organizations in Denmark, a lot of women's societies, business clubs, all sorts of interesting activities for women in business that I can introduce to anybody who would like to be introduced to that. So that was that one. In respect of circular economy, I think first and foremost, it's really important to emphasize that this is just not a feel-good thing. This is actually really good for the economy. Circular economy is predicted, if implemented in Denmark fully, that transformation by 2035 would be able to increase our GDP with 6 billion euros. And net exports with 3 to 6%, CO2 emissions could be reduced with 3 to 7%. And most importantly, the use of raw material could be decreased with up to 50% in certain sectors, which of course is really interesting, also from a food waste perspective. And the food sector, I think food production is one of the most important sectors where we could cooperate much more between Denmark and Turkey, and I think we should explore that, but also within textiles and specifically within sustainable energy production like biogas, waste to energy. I know Istanbul is now building a huge waste to energy facility, and this is one of the elements in circular economy which I think is really important. You know, how do you actually make sure that when you do waste, that you get something out of that, and looking at those opportunities is quite relevant. And I think we have a lot of interesting technologies in Denmark that could benefit the Turkish market, and we have a lot of knowledge on how to do circular economy business models that we would very much like to share with our Turkish business stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette, for these explanations. We are having questions, but unfortunately we have limited time. Maybe I will divert these questions after the sessions, and we could be having contact with our audience and could separately answer their questions. For today, we're of course suffering from extraordinary days for the last 3 months. Food sustainability, food security, these issues are crucial. And I know that before COVID-19, all the participants, distinguished panelists which are on this panel were discussing these issues formally regarding the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the COVID-19 just as being a catalyst to make people's aware of that issues, and maybe we have so much limited time to access to that goals. But now, since everybody, since every stakeholder, since every consumer, every grower, in every part of every sector is aware, I think our full commitment to that issues will be much more efficient and will be developed maybe swifter than we have expected. So thank you for all participating, and to our EU talks, which will also is a traditional EU talks after COVID-19, and will be continuing with more than 140 business council talks. And thanks for your presentations, thanks for your contributions, and thanks for the answers to the questions. And see you next time in the upcoming events regarding post-COVID-19 era, regarding on the food security and sustainability. And if for the final remarks, I would like to give each of you, Annette, Ayşin Hanım, Ayşe Hanım, and Umut Bey, the last statements to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the chance, and I couldn't answer one question. I will write to the lady who asked the question separately.
Thank you, Ayşe Hanım. Ayşin Hanım.
Thank you very much for your organizations. Now we can understand that distance are not important, so we can come together. And as we mentioned during the presentation, and also Umut Bey mentioned many times, being together will be really important for the next days, next years, and we are ready for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayşin Hanım. Annette, anything to contribute on that?
Well, just want to thank you again for organizing this, and I look very much forward to exploring future business opportunities with the Business Council, but also with all the participants to this webinar. And I encourage everybody to send us questions or comments or propositions for business cooperation. Our emails are on the website of the consulate, and we would be more than happy to engage in dialogue on anything that has to do with the Sustainable Development Goals. Food safety, anything sustainable is what Denmark stands for. So we look forward to continuing that cooperation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette. And finally, Umut Bey.
Well, I think nothing but just thanks, and just I want to concur on all the messages that the other panelists given. So thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you, our distinguished panelists, and thanks for the audience participation and keeping their calm till the end of the session, which means it was 100 minutes, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Thank you for this efficient and valuable webinar. Thank you.
Good. Cheers, everyone. Have a nice day.